Quilters are a generous bunch that will make a quilt to mark an event, to soothe an illness, to express art. We come together as a community in times of need, always looking for a reason to give a gift of warmth. Quilters are not sewers, we are creators. We are givers and even artists. We love the process, the legacy, and the accomplishment, but mostly we love the story. Every quilt has one.
I'm Cindy Kehl here today to talk to you about my journey of quilt making. And my journey started a little different than most people. Everyone has a story, and that's what it's supposed to be about. Sewing and quilting is a very personal experience. And I came by it in a different sort of way. I don't know, 1993, which is 27 years ago, I had a heart transplant. And that was in the early stages, and things have changed differently. But every day is truly a gift. And I want to talk about not only quilting, but the importance of organ donation. And I'm going to tell you why. As I said, I was transplanted 27 years ago, and I've been able to enjoy this incredible, wonderful life. I have had so many awesome experiences since someone gave me the gift of life. And that is the ultimate gift. And you can say it, but until you live it, you don't know. But I've adjusted, and I've learned to live, and I learned to appreciate every day. Through this process, though, I had a son who died of heart disease, and he was not able to get a transplant. So, 7 years ago, I got a phone call. My son, Zachary, who was living in Michigan at the time, who had been watched for cardio disease since he was 19 years old. And we knew that it might be coming. We knew it might be coming. And he called and said, "Mom, I'm in the hospital and I'm not leaving till I get a heart transplant." I immediately panicked, as any mother does. And I began to say, "God, you cannot take both of my sons. There's no way that you can take both of my sons." The next morning, I was on a flight to Detroit because he was at University of Michigan Hospital in Ann Arbor. We began the process of putting him on the list. And because at that point he had not. He had just finished working a 40-hour week as a paramedic. But when he went into the hospital for some testing, they said, 9% of your heart is only working. You're not leaving here. So they began the process of listing him. And there's lots to this story, but basically we started listing him on Monday night. And then Tuesday came and they did more tests and more tests and more tests. And what you don't know is that people who get a transplant have to be healthy otherwise. And we went through the promise, and so many stories and so many wonderful memories. But that started on Monday. By that Sunday, everyone was thinking, "Oh, how long are we going to wait? Years?" Well, I could wait years, but would he die? So on May 13th, we walked in to his room, his ICU room in Ann Arbor. And the surgeon came and he said, "How do you feel about Mother's Day?" And I said, "It's Mother's Day." And he says, "Well, I'm going to tell you, you're never going to feel the same way about Mother's Day." And in that time, I'm like going, "What?" And he said, "We have a heart for your son." And I said, "No way," among other things. So immediately they took him, and so on May 13th, 7 years ago, my son had a transplant. He now is 7.5 years out. He's healthy. He's doing awesome things. And so I thought, what way could I reflect and appreciate and document this long process? Because it was, even though it took a week from the time to being listed to being transplanted, which is unbelievable, 7 days. It was a miracle. So when I came back from Michigan, I thought, maybe I should try and make him a quilt. And that could document the feelings of his transplant and what I was trying to capture. I'd never made a quilt. I'd sewn, but I'd never made a quilt. So somehow I heard about this place called Fabric Patch. And I'm like, I'm going to go to Fabric Patch. So I walk in to Fabric Patch 7 years ago, and I met a lady named Thelma. Thelma worked here for I don't know how many years, but she was awesome. And I explained to her my scenario. And she actually had developed a pattern, or her daughter did. And they had a quilt hanging on the wall. And the quilt was a Bargello, and it was a giant heart. And I said, oh, man, I don't think I could do that. And Thelma, for those of you who knew Thelma, girl, you can do this. You can do this. I'm like, I don't know. So Thelma picked out 26 different fabrics, and I made a Bargello, my very first quilt. It was king size. And Brianna and Cindy and Thelma and Carolyn all worked diligently to help me. It was a huge undertaking, but they all believed in me. And so I finally got it done, and they showed me how to make the plaque on the back, the fabric, to tell my son how much I loved him and the journey ahead. And they quilted it for me, and it was beautiful. And even though I did a really bad job, they made it look like a professional. Brianna quilted it, and you would never know the millions of mistakes that I made. So I loved it, and they helped me every step of the way. And so I took it, and I got on a plane, and I took it back to him in Michigan. And so we don't have the actual quilt, but we have pictures of it. And that was my beginning. So who knew that a heart transplant would start me into this world of quilting? And how I've met new people, and Brianna and Cindy and CK and Brittany and Sabrina, and wonderful people who I have to say are the most kind and generous people I have ever met in my life. So I can't begin to thank Fabric Patch for helping me get started on this journey. And that first quilt will always mean more to me than any other quilt I've ever made. And this is a picture of my son. And today he's happy and healthy, and he hikes and he bikes, and, so two beautiful things in my life. People who believe in organ donation, people who support organ donation, and the Fabric Patch, because whatever I need in all the many quilts I've made since then, the Fabric Patch is always there for me, and I appreciate every day. As I appreciate every day of life, I appreciate every day of my son's life, and I appreciate this new world of quilting. Thank you. I wanted to really thank you for this opportunity to talk a little bit about organ donation. In my story, I also need to tell you that my sister had a heart transplant. My nephew had a heart transplant. My brother died because he was not be able to get a heart transplant. And as I said earlier, my son died of heart failure because he could not get a heart transplant. It's a dire, dire situation. And now I face the idea that 2 of my granddaughters are in heart failure. One is 19, one is 15. Who knows what is going to happen to them? Will the opportunity come for them to be transplanted? Will someone say yes to organ donation? Will someone else give the gift of life? I don't know, but I can only hope. You will see some links below that'll lead you to sites that talk about organ donation and registering to become an organ donor. And unbelievably, one person can impact many, many lives. It's not just organs, but tissues and so many things that you'll find. So if you're at all interested, go to these links, find out about more about organ donation, and most importantly, talk to your family about it. Tell them that you want to be an organ donor. Tell them that you want to give the gift of life. Thank you for listening, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you for watching our video. We invite you to leave a comment, hit the like button, or better yet, subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. You can also visit our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or Pinterest pages, or find all of those things and our online store at fabricpatch.net.